Hello Canada, welcome back to Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Tagai. Well, I stumbled upon something I didn't think was going to happen to me today, that's for sure. Now, I had some evidence there that I was kind of working on, trying to piece some stuff together, but I didn't think it was going to be as big as it was, so bear with me here. I made this video earlier, and I dropped it. And when I did, I found out that there was something not right. So, I've been hearing about people getting kicked out of Carney rallies. Now, that's not surprising to liberals because they're fascists, they're socialists. They boot out, they control, they dominate, they hide. That's what they do. They do everything anti-Canadian. So I've had these names, but I haven't had enough proof to really bring it to the surface and discuss like this. Because I'm not like them. I don't lie. I don't post crap. And if I make a mistake, I'm going to apologize because it makes me a better person. That's Canadian. So the person that they kicked out, when I had heard about this, I recognized him. His name is Dallon Leger. He's a Saskatchewan boy. He's made quite a reputation for himself. Not the way that mainstream would put it out. He's made a great reputation for himself. And he's got quite the fan base going on. Now, Dallon, years ago, as a young entrepreneur, started a business recycling grain bags. And in doing so, he ran into a little bit of a corruption thing going on where there was a company that was gifted a monopoly. That doesn't sound right. And it involved Mo. Yeah, Mo. You know, the guy who's not Brad Wall. Mo. He depresses me more every day, especially with this tariff stuff. No backbone, no spine. Anyways. Then from there, he stumbles into some school stuff and starts exposing what they're hiding and parental rights and he's building a fan base, so he's becoming exposed to this, and he's an inquisitive young man, a smart young man. Although he'll tell you straight out he's not very good at spelling, which is funny. Anyways. From there, the Freedom Convoy, and then to this. So he gets a liberal membership because he's inquisitive and he wants to see what's going on, and he understands what the Liberal Party is. Joins it, gets a membership, gets invited to when they're in his area. So he grabs a buddy, they take off to Regina, they go to the rally. Here's the invitation, they get in, they get confronted. And this is straight from Dallon. And this is what happened to him.
I'm a lawyer, sir. I'm not going to... We should give this trader a good old warm welcome. Referring to a member in good standing as a trader, despite your failure to spell a lot of these words, is not okay. We're challenging your membership, sir, and I'm asking you to leave. And
we're joining this party, but build our very accomplishment for many years.
Okay, so after I had posted it, we had straightened out these names. The name he gave me, I had on the list, but it was spelt a little bit different. And like I said, I couldn't find the name, and the video was a little bit, I couldn't tell if it was at the right place, because the one I'm looking into right now is the rally in Kelowna. And I heard it again. So I'm trying to piece this video that I've got with this name that doesn't exist to try and because these names are coming up, but it's not truth. And if it's not truth, I'm not going to post it. I'm not them. And I'm not afraid to apologize. It makes me better when I make a mistake and I apologize. It's Canadian. So Dallon ends up giving me this second name, and I'm going, oh, that's how you spell the guy's name. And then he even posts the link down. So I follow the link. And it's in another city. Now, this guy's name is Brian Berger. I guess he did this Wyatt Claypool show. Great to have @Prominent Brian on the show to talk about being kicked out of a Mark Carney event in Vancouver for disagreeing with Carney online. This is the bombshell I'm talking about. So that's 6 now that I know of. 4 I can't prove. 2 I've just proven right here. Boom. Just like that. Thanks for the help of Dallon. Straightening this all out. Dallon's going to get up in the morning. He's going to watch this video and he's Dallon, you stumbled on it again. How are they finding out? How are they possibly finding out online? Now, Dallon posted, just before I had texted him, I was reading a post that he had put out where he himself, had said about what was going on here. And in his words, he wasn't going there to be a liberal. He wasn't going there to rip, take a banner and disrupt, and pound on doors. He was going there as a Canadian. He was going there because he knew that in order to find out what's really going on, especially with that Liberal Party, because you can't trust mainstream, you got to get in. So he wanted to get in so he could observe, watch, listen, maybe ask questions, and record. He didn't even make it in the doors. They knew who he was. And this other guy, Brian Bourget, he was kicked out of a Vancouver event for disagreeing with Carney online. The other 4 I'm looking into, that's what got me going on this, is because they too, they were unknowns. How did they know who they were? How did they know who they were? Surprised. They were like, how did they even know who I was? And they would pull out a post, or they would see them in the background of a short video, or... Now, I don't know for a fact, but I'm just going to throw this out there. Facial recognition? What's going on? How do they know? Something to think about. But anyways, let's just keep dissecting Socialist Carney. Dissect this whole Kelowna rally.
Only a month ago tomorrow, I put my hand up to run for the leadership, launched the campaign back in Edmonton.
Nope. Sorry, got to interrupt. That's as far as we can make it, right there. What happened in Edmonton? What happened in Edmonton?
Have you been advised you have to leave?
By nobody who's identifying themselves. They're just a random dude came up and said that.
This is Kean Bext. His media outlet, the Countersignal. He's a rising star in journalism. He's been around for a long time. As young as he looks, he's been around. He's been doing this a long time. He's worked for a lot of different media outlets. Definitely follow, like, subscribe, and share. He's worth it. He's breaking stuff all the time, putting truth to power. And he is the epitome of Canadianism. He's smart. He's a gentleman. He's got really good manners. He's a shining example of what a Canadian journalist should be. He's younger than me, but I kind of hope I get to be like him because he's great. Anyways, continue.
This fellow as well. We're just if we have to leave, I'm happy to leave. But nobody from whoever's booked this has told us that they're actually an authority figure. Just people that I think don't like us. So.
Okay, you are trespassing, so you need to
okay.
leave the property.
Okay. All right.
Do you want to come out this way so you're not walking in front of all of them?
I don't. Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Happy to.
My partner.
Yep.
They're going to come this way with us?
Okay.
So that we're not...
What's your position in the campaign? No. It's time to go.
Sorry, they're going to come through here. Yeah.
Come up this way with these guys.
Hi, George. Have you stolen anything lately?
Porch pirate, liberal, more corruption. Every one of them are in some type of a scandal. And this is happening, I believe, in Calgary. No, this was Edmonton, right? This was Edmonton, yeah. Oh, yeah. Randy Barcenou. I don't know which Randy, but there's 2 Randys. Look into that. I'll be doing a show on Randy Barcenou. Hopefully he's in jail before I do. It'll make it a lot more fun. Watch them escort him out so nobody can see the fascism. Don't go through there, don't go through there. To the back, to the back, to the back.
Oh.
We don't want anybody seeing that we're kicking out credible journalists. Whoa, sir, don't go through there. There's people out there.
This is the weirdest I've ever.
Welcome to full out fascism, socialism, and tyranny. If he's doing this and he's not even the prime minister, what is he going to do when he is?
Been treated.
If you want to keep filming, you're welcome to, but you're
Okay.
gonna have to be off the community property.
We'll have to pick up our car. Is that okay?
Where is it?
It's just in the parking lot. We can drive, but thank you. Oh, sure, yeah. So the entire community center has trespassed us, or was it the campaign?
The private event. Yeah, the private event.
Okay, but they haven't booked this like playground.
No, but it is part of the property, so we're gonna get you to be off the property.
Okay,
You're free to film from there, but
sure, yeah. Well, thanks for being so professional about this. It's strange treatment from someone who wants to be the prime minister of this country.
Yeah. Well said, Ian.
and where's your group?
Just right up ahead here.
Now, right? It's who does that? And it wasn't just him. There was a pile of journalists there. They escorted them all out. No, you got through the kitchen, down the hallway. Oh, no, up this ladder, we're going to boot them off the roof so nobody sees what they're doing. It's scary times. Scary times. Let's see how far we can get.
And I did so because at the time, in the run-up to the weeks in the run-up, I felt that our country needed some big changes in order to get back on track and to make Canada work for all Canadians. Thank you. Thank you. And since then, I've had the privilege, and it really is a privilege, to crisscross this country, meet with Canadians. It's been validated, those concerns. I've seen, how anxious people are, how tough things have been. I knew it, I knew the numbers, but you got to talk to people who really feel it.
How? How do you talk to people when you're jet setting across the country, booting out anybody who is a normal Canadian or a journalist, isolating yourself from everybody around you, only surrounding yourself with other people who are like you, who obviously aren't Canadians? I'm terribly sorry to say that. I hate having to say that. But if you're around him, you're aware of the lies. If you're aware of the lies, you're just as bad as he is. Now, the crowd, I don't blame the crowd because they're getting lied to right now. And they go home and they click on their leashes and they watch their TV and they listen to their radio and they get fed nothing but propaganda brainwashing. So I can't blame them. That's why I do what I do, and so many other people are trying to get these media outlets out. Please like, share, and subscribe. If they don't know, you can't blame them. They got to know. That's the first part of breaking this cycle, is giving them the information, or at least the ability and freedom to have access to it. So like, share, and subscribe. And now back to what he just said. If he was touring, he would have seen this.
It's the number one concern right across the country, affording somewhere to live. And new figures give an idea of how many Canadians and new Canadians are struggling.
The housing burden is starting to become backbreaking.
A study by the Angus Reid Institute finds 28% of Canadians overall are considering relocating from their current province because of housing costs. That number goes up to 39% for people who have lived here less than a decade. And 33% of newcomers living in Metro Vancouver are considering leaving.
We fall into that category. We're thinking about leaving BC or in Canada in general.
AJ was born in Canada. His wife is from Japan. They're considering leaving due to the cost of living.
But when it comes to actually putting them to daycare.
Now, before COVID, I saw countless, mostly business owners that I knew started to pack up, sell, and leave. I should say homeowners, not business owners. Pack up and leave. Young families. People who were getting ready to buy a house, etc., etc. They were gone. They were leaving. After COVID, people I know that own businesses, packed up, done, gone, poof. And I've only heard them say one bad thing, and it's the same thing with all of them. One horrible thing about when they moved to the U.S. They wish they would have done it a year and a half or 2 years before Trudeau got in power, before the Liberals and the WEF took over our country. Why? Because their dollar was worth something. The ones who left right at the beginning when Trudeau first got elected, hindsight, foresight, 2020, they didn't do too bad. It still hurt. The ones that left after COVID, they lost a huge part of their savings. Their dollar was pesos. They destroyed our dollar, and they're fleeing the country. And migrants are getting a taste of it and going, whoa, we don't want no part of that. So let's get back to Carney.
And people have been hit by the cost of living crisis, concerns about housing running away from younger Canadians, you know it here in Kelowna, worried about their future of our children, future in a world that, before all this nonsense from south of the border, before all of this, a world that's more divided and dangerous, and a world in which we've got huge technological changes that are going to change all our lives. We need to make sure they change for the better that are coming on us.
Okay, affordability issues, technology coming. He's pushing, he's twisting. Let's go over this. This is the Canadian dollar. Okay? I'm going to blow this up for you. This is where the Conservatives came into power. Look at our dollar. I had friends and family who weren't even really looking at housing, they were just saving. They were like, wow, our dollar's worth something. They were buying homes, cars, bettering themselves, land, homesteads. They were bettering themselves. This was the crash, 2009 crash. The one that Carney likes to take credit for, which is being completely debunked. Every single person around that actually had something to do with this is getting really peed off at Carney for trying to take credit for this. Because it's absolute nonsense. He had nothing to do with this. This was Jim Flaherty. Rest in peace. He was amazing. Anyways, this was the Duffy scandal. This was the $16 orange juice. And I'm going to correct something I had said on a previous show. I said 6. I knew it was 16, but I said 6. My mistake. I'm correcting it now. And this is the media pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding. This is where the death on Parliament Hill happened, where we lost Corporal Cicerello. Rest in peace. It was a sad day. It was a very sad day. This is where we called the election because of the pressure. Now, the polls at this time were showing Harper was going to win a majority, and not by the skin of his teeth. He was going to win a strong minority. And then called the election. And right here, see that? Election date. Boom. Trudeau takes power. Dollar plummets. Never really regains. He starts hiring piles and piles of government employees and printing money like crazy and spending like crazy. All of this is a false economy. All of this is him and our tax dollars propping up bad policy. This is Trump. Boom. Now, if we would have been somewhere back here with the 90 cents, even if it would have been, say, 85 cents, we wouldn't have decimated us near as bad. But because of all of the bad policy involved, and the floating dollar never really gaining anything because it's always being propped up, some say recession. I think this proves we're now in a depression. But we're being propped up by debt, by money printing, which we're going to get into right away. After a few more words of Carney, we'll delve a little bit deeper. Just wanted to straighten that out.
So I put my hand up, somewhat, somewhat nervous. Yeah, because I think I'm going to still say this for the first time. I am not a politician. I am not a politician. Yeah, I'm not a politician. I've never been a politician. But I've always been a pragmatist. And so when I see something that's not working, I try to change it. And I'm going to start with an example of that, which is the consumer carbon tax. Good idea on paper, put into action with the best intentions, but something that's become very divisive in our country. Very divisive. And if people don't buy into a policy or change, doesn't matter how good it is, it's not right. So the issue...
Do you see how he just twists that?
Making your will but don't like the high prices charged by lawyers?
What's he talking about?
Wills.ca.
He has no idea what he's talking about. He's just flagrantly lying. I'm just going to move ahead because that, in fact, here, you want to see Carney's policies? Okay, if there's anybody who can explain Carney's policies, it's these people. This is the Canadian Tax Federation. Again, pay attention to these people. Like, follow, and share. They know what's going on. They live in Canada, and this is their job.
And here's the point. We're still paying the carbon tax. Yeah, it's still there, and it's going to go up again on April 1st. None of the Liberal leadership candidates has committed to eliminating the carbon tax entirely. No, at best, they're going to hide it from you. You're still going to pay it. You just won't know where the pain is coming from. It's really important to pay attention here to the central banker, the current frontrunner of the Liberal leadership race, Mark Carney, and what he said about what he'd do with the carbon tax. Take a listen.
As I mentioned, to help Canadians invest in greener policies, we'll have the big polluters pay for climate incentives by developing and integrating a new consumer carbon credit market into the industrial pricing system. That way we ensure that taxpayers aren't on the hook for consumer climate incentives, while we still provide price certainty for households when they make climate-smart choices.
Do you hear that? So it's super easy to say something like, we'll just make the big polluters pay. Really? So, do you think that the provider of your natural gas or your propane, your home heating fuel, is going to eat the cost of the carbon tax and not pass it down to you? What happens if your electricity, your power, is generated by a natural gas power plant? Do you think that that natural gas power plant is just going to eat the cost of the carbon tax? No. What about a fuel refinery when they're making gasoline and diesel for the pumps? Think they're just gonna eat the cost and not pass it down? Of course not. You're still going to pay the carbon tax.
Did you hear that? You're gonna pay. The worst part is, it's gonna hit the people with the lowest incomes the hardest. They're the ones who are gonna suffer the most. And the worst part is that close to 60% of the middle class are now living in poverty. 25% of Canada. 25% of Canada is in poverty. 25% of Canada goes to food banks. Historic highs. This is bad policy. This is WEF policy. Now, for anybody who watched the show and they go, God, he keeps mentioning that WEF, look them up. They're a real thing. Go to one of my previous episodes where I actually show, like, the proof's in the pudding. Like I said, I'm not here to lie. I'm here to tell you the truth. I'm here to help broaden your horizons, remove you from the illusion that the government and their bought media have. I'm going to skip a whole pile of this Carney crap and get right down to the nitty gritty and just kind of prove to you how bad these people really are.
The third thing we have to do, and this goes directly against the pressure we will get from the United States, whatever they do, is build. Build, baby, build. They are going to drill, we're going to build. Some of what we build is going to help with our drilling, to be clear. Some of it's going to be energy infrastructure. Some of it's going to be clean energy. Some of it's going to be trade corridor. A lot of it is going to be housing, the 3 or 4 million new homes that we need across this country. And something that my government is going to do is to use all of the powers of the federal government, including the emergency powers.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? I'm going to rewind that. Listen closely to what he says.
It's going to be energy infrastructure. Some of it's going to be clean energy. Some of it's going to be trade corridor. A lot of it is going to be housing, the 3 or 4 million new homes that we need across this country. And something that my government is going to do is to use all of the powers of the federal government, including the emergency powers of the federal government, to accelerate the major projects that we need.
There you go. The last his government, the Trudeau government, the Liberal Party of Canada, and the NDP minions that are pretty much the same thing. They're all so far left, they're over the cliff on the bottom, trying to drown the rest of Canada with them. They're in court. They lost on the last time they used the Emergencies Act, and you heard the darn jester. He said it straight out. Well, we're going to fix this. We're going to give the government, we suggest that the government fix the Emergencies Act. Do you really want the government that tyrannically used that paperwork, that sheet of paper, that document against its own people illegally, to be able to adjust it so that they can use it to push their green agenda? This has been floating around. I read lots. I read way too much. This has been floating around behind closed doors, and we've been getting whispers of it. That they would go to whatever extent necessary if they can't get what they want. Now we know what they do. They do. We've seen it already in Canada. This is just proof that it's real. These guys will do anything they want if you let them have power. Why would a multi-millionaire, $2,000 shoes, $38,000 watch, why would he want to become a PM for $490,000 a year without an ulterior motive? We're not talking about somebody from grassroots who's doing it to be better. We're talking about somebody who's way up there in the food chain, who's a puppet. The problem with this puppet is he's not like Trudeau, where he's got the captain insignia. This is a WEF general. He has got the full backing of the WEF. How do I know? First, I'm just going to throw this out there, and anybody who's deep into the WEF might get the hint. The Gray Sweater Day. It's where they talk to each other without being caught sending texts or messages. But they talk to each other. And it just so happens that that same day, just prior, I think it was like sometime just before midnight, Chrystia Freeland just disappeared off the WEF website. This page is no longer available. That's interesting, isn't it? These people are insane. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. Now, don't take it from me. Take it from Liz Truss, former British Prime Minister of the UK.
Talked about that elsewhere, but what about this track record, this idea that you hear about on places like The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, where Carney appeared, saying that Carney helped save 2 economies? Is that true? Well, Carney seems to get a pass from Canada's media. Not so with the British media, where he earned nicknames like the unreliable boyfriend or the nickname Mark Carnage. there are plenty of people willing to say that Carney is not the man that Canada should be taking to lead them, not based on any dislike for the man, but based on what his policies led to.
By the way, that was Ghislaine Maxwell. Do you recognize the name? That's Epstein's girl fixer. And don't worry about the Epstein. We're all anxiously waiting because Kash Patel is going to release all of it. Trump and them already made a promise on it. The world is waiting. When that list gets released, true exposure of the sickness that is all around the world in super high, powerful positions is going to be exposed. It's going to change everything. I can't wait.
Liz Truss, the former British Prime Minister, former Treasury Secretary, and former Environment Minister and Foreign Minister, worked with Carney over the years. And in an interview from Calgary, she told me Canadians should be taking a pass. Ms. Truss, thanks for your time. Tell us, you crossed paths with Mark Carney at a few points when he was bank governor and you held various positions within the British government. What was your sense of him? He gets a hero's welcome in Canada for his role with Stephen Harper and Jim Flaherty during the 2008-2009 financial crash. He doesn't have the same stellar reputation with everyone in Britain, does he?
I mean, if you look at the record of the Bank of England over the past decades, it has been poor. There was huge amounts of quantitative easing, huge amounts of printing money.
Which is just a fancy way of saying print money, right?
Correct, yeah, printing money. And also a huge bulge in public spending, which that enabled. He was also a major advocate of net zero. And Britain has probably gone further than any other country down the net zero route. And it's been disastrous for our economy. So if you're looking at reasons why the British economy has stagnated, why people's income per capita is now lower than Mississippi, which is the poorest state in America.
And people, we're there. We're there. The wealthiest province's people in Canada are poorer than the poorest state. There's the largest divide between Canadian and American purchasing power. It's been growing exponentially. We used to be known around the world of having one of the wealthiest middle classes because of all of the programs and stuff that were available to us and how far our dollar could go. That's gone. Some economists say 35 years, not many. Most of them are saying 50 years to fix the damage that Justin and the Liberal Party have done. When I was a child growing up, I lived through the father. That man destroyed our nation. We were just getting his errors fixed when they elected his schmuck of a son who did 10 times as much damage as the father. Decimated us. So think about that. If it took 40 years to fix what the dad did, what's it going to take to fix what his doofus son did? It's going to be 50 years or more. Your kids' are going to be paying to fix this. A lot of people are saying it can't be done. My stomach turned. I hate saying it. It breaks my heart. I'm a proud Canadian. I used to be a proud Canadian. Now I'm a really concerned Canadian. I'm a worried Canadian. I worry about my kids. Will they ever be able to afford a home? Will I be able to leave them enough when I pass on to make their life better? My grandchildren? When I'm a grandparent, will I even have the money and time to be able to visit and help be there for them? I don't know. Will there be a Canada? I don't know. I don't know. But the comparisons between here and England are uncanny.
I think a lot of the fingers can be pointed at the Bank of England. Huge amounts of printing money, too much inflation, diverting resources away from the productive economy, but also Mark Carney had a role in pushing the disastrous net zero agenda, which has been very, very damaging for Britain's oil and gas industry. And we now have the highest energy prices in the world. The other point I would make is that prior to the 2024 election, Mark Carney endorsed Rachel Reeves, Chancellor who's now in charge of British economy.
So she's now Britain's, what we call the finance minister. She's Chancellor of the Exchequer. And
yes.
Policies are not very good.
She's put forward a disastrous budget, which has raised taxes, increased regulation. We now have the fastest rate of millionaires leaving our country of any country in the world apart from China. We've seen industry close down. So we saw the last steelworks that produced steel from scratch close down last year. We're seeing the oil and gas industry closing down. And we are at serious risk now of a financial crisis because the expected tax revenues aren't coming in, because taxes are too high, it's driving away business, and she has spent huge amounts on the state. So if Mark Carney intends to apply those types of policies to Canada, it would be a disaster.
There you have it. There it is. It's in full view. It's scary. It really is. I get frustrated by it, because there's so many people that just they walk around with blinders on. Really need you guys to help get the word out. Please like, share, and subscribe. Punch that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. And I hope to see you again. Until the next time, this is the Canadian Citizens Journal. I'm Alias, the guy, and I hope to see you again.